The evolution of your marketing will be the catalyst for the evolution of your business, and the evolution of your business will provide you with the freedom to focus on the evolution of your life. This is Evolved Marketing with Andrei and Brian. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Evolved Marketing Podcast. My name is Brian Brewer, along with my co-host Andrei Yermejev, and a very special guest today. Now, this is a guest that we've actually gotten to hang out with in person, myself a couple of times, Andrei last year at Funnel Hacking Live. And, you know, he's got an amazing story. One thing I say about this guest is, you know, I might have started a little side hustle that turned into a business. This guy's an entrepreneur. This guy knows how to run businesses. So if you're looking to kind of get to the next level or build a business with the goal of having systems and teams in place, this is going to be a fantastic episode. His specialty is branding and connecting with your community. He does have a podcast called the Remote Start Podcast. He's an amazing friend of mine who also happens to be a Michigan State Spartan. So great stuff there. Let's get into it. And welcome to the show, Jim Doyon. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. That was I have chills from that intro. So thank you, Brian. Andrei, so good to be here with you too. I'm so stoked. From the minute you two said you were going to start a podcast, I knew there was going to be a ton of value for anybody out there listening. So all your listeners, I think they're doing the right thing by following you too and learning from everything you're doing. So yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
We appreciate it, Jim. I remember meeting you last year, and something that you mentioned while we were talking was that you travel around the United States with your family in an RV. How was that experience, man?
It was crazy. It was so good. So many just incredible memories from it. You know, to take three kids of different ages, wife and I, to leave our house, that steady, that consistent lifestyle, and to just throw it out and just figure out every day, like, where are we going to be? What are we going to do? And try to, like, you talk about getting to know each other on a different level. I mean, you go from a bigger house to 400 square feet on wheels that's traveling around the country. Like, you're going to learn a lot about each other. And the experience was just something that I would say to everybody and your listeners out there, if you're thinking about like traveling and getting out there and doing something that pushes you every day, like, do it. Just do it. Like, it was something. And my wife, she was a big reason why we did it, because she likes to plan. And with the two of us and with the kids, it was just something I'll never forget.
You know, that is something that is just, I mean, kind of the dream, I think, of most people, you know, having the business that, I mean, is literally the laptop lifestyle. You know, you're running it from anywhere in the country. In your case, could be anywhere in the world if you wanted to get on a plane instead of pull a, you know, converted toy hauler around with your 350 or whatever you were driving, you know. But the bottom line is you had the freedom. You made those experiences for your kids, which I think every parent can just aspire to, those core memories. I can only imagine. You know, a lot of people dream of that lifestyle. So with that being said, maybe just for fun, you could give us one of the best parts of traveling around the country, running a business, and being 5 deep in an RV, and maybe one of the worst parts as well that people might want to consider if they're kind of on the fence or ready to sell their house and go all in.
I love that. That's a great lead in. I will say, I want to take a step back. I wasn't able to do what I did without preparation. And I have a business partner that is in Michigan that I had to restructure the business. I had to, you know, set things up to be able to go and live that lifestyle that I wanted to live. And if it would have just been like, hey, I'm out, it wouldn't have worked out. But I left it where a lot of the responsibility was on my business partner, and he got rewarded for that more than I did. And so knowing that there was this understanding, and there was going to some of the hardest parts of it, it was, you know, I'm someone that needs to have consistency. I have ADD pretty bad, where I'm like, want to jump all over the place. So when you're in a location for 4 days and then have to go to the next place, and you're driving and then you're setting up and you want to go see things and explore, that first year we went really fast. And that for me was very tough to stay focused on the business, stay focused on what I needed to do in that direction. So I kind of took it a backseat and said, all right, I'm just going to focus with the family. I'm going to spend time with the family, enjoy each place we go to. But I think it was about month 9 when I had a little breakdown. I'm like, to my wife, I just like, I can't do it like this anymore. Like we need to settle down. We need to like really look at, staying in one place a little bit longer. So maybe then we can go explore for a couple days. And I'm not stressing about the long drives in between. And because that, for those of you listening that are thinking about this, like you have to plan. It's not just the drive from location A to B. Like it's taxing. It's very stressful on your mind, on your body to drive, 13 hours pulling a trailer. It's a lot different than jumping in a car and just driving. So, it's not just the of, it's like the day before and the stress that comes with it. The day after that comes, like your mind is shot. And so that for me was probably the hardest part of being on the road. The second year when we slowed down a lot and we got to enjoy a lot of the places that we either did the first loop around the country. And we saw, I think it's 36, 37 states in the 2 years we were on the road. And the majority of those were in the first year. And so with the new approach, that second year of, really focusing on the places we wanted to be and enjoying it more and really submersing ourselves in the local culture and doing all those things, it was so much more rewarding. I would say the best thing is just the family time, like being able to explore. I had this rule. My little brother Nick gave me this idea. He's like, wherever you go, eat local, have your family eat local, like wherever you are. And so we really brought that into, the way we did things. And my boys, they're younger and they're very, they're open to explore different ideas. And it's like, all right, cool. We're on the coast. Like if Dungeness crabs are huge in Oregon, like that's what we're going to eat while we're here. And, like fresh fish, like that's what we ate. But then, you're somewhere like Texas, it's barbecue, right? Like, so it was always somewhere different and really getting to understand, the different culture and food and everything else. I would say that was probably one of the most rewarding parts about it.
Yeah. How many years were you on the road?
For 2 full years.
2 full years. Wow. And I haven't really had a chance to like travel around the United States as much. What do you think is like the most memorable place that you went?
It's such a good question because and I will say as a family, we love every place. Like anytime we get asked that question, it's like, okay, they all have this commonality, and it was a fun city, something really cool to do, bar hop, restaurant hop, like, farmers markets, like what's going on in the city, but then something outside the city that's an active lifestyle. And so we love mountain towns. In the winter, like Sedona was my favorite because I loved the mountain bike, and that was something I did every stop we went. But then we love the beach life. Like my wife absolutely loves the ocean, and so we spent all the winters like some in the ocean. So I would say like one of the most memorable, coolest places that our family loved was like Key West and some other places in Florida where we trade the mountain bikes in for paddle boards and just live that life. So other places like I think Asheville, North Carolina is probably one of the most underrated cities in this country. It's absolutely beautiful. The weather's like pretty good all year round, and there's a ton of stuff to do outdoors as well as in the city. So a lot of different towns like that. But I'll say now I live in Salt Lake, and I knew it was always one of my favorite spots, and I'd still put it up there with one of the top, where you've got the mountains, you got a cool city, you got a lot to do year round.
That's pretty amazing life. I've never heard anything bad about Salt Lake City. And that comes from people I trust a lot. And I have to check it out. I've never been. Now, it's funny that we're talking about the worst part of it, just going all in, getting excited, probably going on the road, right? Like I can only imagine, like I'd want to do everything. My wife would want to do everything and it would be taxing on me. But also, we were talking in last week's episode, which was just Andrei and I. We were talking about being on vacation, and we're lucky enough or not lucky enough, but we've prepared enough to get our businesses to the point where they rely heavily on automation. So both of us were able to go on vacation, the businesses still ran. We didn't have to really keep our hands in there, and we didn't really have to worry about managing a team a whole lot. But by the end of vacation, I start to get a little antsy. It's like, oh boy, I love my family and we're having a great time, but I kind of want to get back to work. And I think that's kind of the joy of being an entrepreneur. Now, you're a lifelong entrepreneur. I'm not. I kind of transitioned into 30, and like 32 is when I first became a first-time entrepreneur from that employee mindset. You're a lifelong entrepreneur. You're one of the first businesses or one of the early businesses, if I remember correctly, when you were at Michigan State, didn't you have a valet company while you were running that?
I did. That was exciting. It was like 21 college kids working for me at one point.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, you're clearly capable of managing a lot, going to school, being in 21, 22 years old, whatever, running this valet business with multiple employees. That's something that I struggle with. So now if we transition a little bit to your current business, which does a lot of things, but I guess primarily is focused on branding. We're talking about the Woodward Movement business, or Woodward Movement being the name of your business. If you could just let me and the listeners know, like, what does that structure look like? And, how many employees do you have? Are they all over the country? Are they mostly based in Michigan besides you? And, what do you do? What do you do for brands? What do you do for other people?
So, yeah, that's a good question. So Woodward Movement is a branding and marketing agency. And when I say branding, we really look at your brand identity. We look at who you think you are as a brand and how does that match with the community you're trying to get in front of. And what we've done is we've really honed in on merchandise in the past, and now we're getting into other areas of really getting in front of your audience. But we look at, okay, how can you build a lifestyle brand around your business, your brand, your name, your anything from a large corporation to a solopreneur? How can you get in front of your community and do that through merchandise? And so we've done a good job of that with our customers and our clients, our business partners. But now we're even taking it one step further. Okay, what are you doing on your website to make sure that your voice is what you say it is? Your mission, your vision, and with a corporation that has employees, like, it's almost more important to start with the employees and make sure that they're on the same page with your brand and making sure that they understand where you're trying to go. And so we've done this through, for years. We started a clothing brand called Ink Addict Apparel. We ended up selling that brand in 2020, but we bootstrapped out of my basement and really grew that brand to a multiple seven-figure company by getting in front of our customer and understanding what our customer wanted. And we did that through merchandise. Not only merch we sold, but this was before influencer marketing was big or a thing. Like, our demographic was the tattoo industry. So we had tattoo artists all over the world that we worked with, models and musicians and anybody that was part of that culture. And so what we do now is we do that for other brands. And so to sum it up, that's what Woodward Movement does. And we love it. We're super stoked on it. It's something that keeps us passionate constantly. We've tried to remain, to answer your question about the size of our team, we are fully remote, but we do have a really awesome building in Ferndale, Michigan that we work out of. I'm in Salt Lake. We have team members in Vegas, but team members all over the world, really. But our core is in the Detroit market, and we're based out of Ferndale. And so, yeah, we have a team there. They show up, but for the most part, we do run a remote squad.
Yeah, that's definitely super interesting, because if for everybody listening right now, Jim actually helped me with my business to helping me with my branding and everything, all the way from logos, from the font, from my mission statement. And when we had this meeting, he was asking me so many questions, and I had an idea of what I wanted, but with the questions that he was asking me, it made me realize what I actually wanted. And then when the final product came, it was exactly what I would picture. I didn't know all the answers, but just by you asking all those questions, it just made me realize even more, wow, this is actually what it's supposed to look like, And it was amazing working with you, hand to hand. It was awesome.
Thank you. I loved it. I loved working with you. I take so much pride in working with our customers, because what you just said is It's relevant with any size business. You have an idea, but how you represent that to your audience, so many times it gets lost in translation. And so asking those deep questions and for your audience, like if you're looking at branding or rebranding, the number one question you need to ask yourself is, why are you doing this? What is it that you love? What is it about your business as an entrepreneur that you want to make sure carries out? And Andrei, we went through that exercise. If you remember, like that was the very first step, is your personal why. And if you can figure that out, then the rest of it comes easy. So often I see, clients or just people out there, they're like, I'm going to go to Fiverr. I'm going to go, pay a little bit of money for a logo. And that's great. And you might get started that way. But when you're really trying to grow and scale and reach an audience that's going to talk about you, because remember, your brand is the story that others tell about you. And so if your brand doesn't match who you are, and you two know this with the marketing side, how are you going to reach your audience if your brand doesn't speak to them? And so figuring out first who you are and why you're doing it and what you're passionate about and asking yourself those questions, it's going to make the rest of the process a heck of a lot easier.
That's really, really insightful and interesting. So I run this exercise with my students, and it's through my course, and I call it 7 layers deep. And basically, it's a series of questions that you ask yourself to uncover your why. So, for example, let's say someone in our audience listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube is like, I really want to do affiliate marketing because I'm in the 9 to 5. I don't have a lot of time on the side to really start a business, but I want to get out so I can do X, Y, and Z. And so a person in that situation, as just speaking from my own experience, might at first think something like, gosh, I really hate working 60 hours in the week in the restaurant industry because I don't have, time to spend with my kids, or, I had a newborn daughter at the time when I first got started. And so, on the surface, it's like, okay, why do I want to do this? Well, I want to spend more time with my family and be able to take them on vacations. And yes, that was true, but that's also kind of shallow in the sense that it's not going deep. It's not shallow in the sense that it's not a great mission. It's just shallow. It's like that's surface level stuff. So when I ran myself through this exercise, which I learned from Dean Graziosi, the first time I ran myself through it, it was like I kept going deeper and deeper and deeper, and realized my why was that I wanted to feel like I won life. Meaning I don't just want the money. I don't want to just spend time with the kids. I want to go out there and be like, man, he crushed it. He did it the right way. And so that's kind of always been in the back of my mind, is like, all right, is this what I'm doing? Is this in line with crushing life, or is this just a way to make more money that's actually going to degrade the quality of life because I'll be pulled away from what I love doing? So I ask myself that on a regular basis. And as a result, I love the business I've created. But let me ask you this. If we're kind of just related to the solopreneur, if you could, and I'll let you take this any way you want it. When someone discovers their why, or why, they go deep and really get to the core of it, what's the first thing you do? And then if it's, trying to communicate that to the community so you attract the right people into your business who are going to be interested and engaged, like, how do you make that transition to sharing that message in a way that will help your community start to resonate with that? Is that a question that is answerable from your standpoint, first of all?
It's a lot of question within one question, but I'm gonna say this: you hit it on the head. If it's a why that's because I want more time with my family, that's cool. I get it. That's a good starting point. But the reason why, one of the biggest reasons we go through this exercise is because, as you two know, as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, when things get tough, which they do, things are going to come up. Things are going to get tough. We have to remind ourselves, why is the real reason? And if it's because we want to spend more time with our family, there's other ways to do that than starting a business or starting a side hustle or whatever it is. So we have to really get that in one with ourselves and say, why is this? Am I making a difference? Am I adding value? And a lot of times when you see how you personally are going to add value to what you're doing, then the rest does fall into line to answer your question, because you say, I'm adding value these ways because this is what makes me happy. This is what I want to do with my life. Now you take that and you figure out what person out there needs this value, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. What is it that I am providing that makes me happy every day that I can go and take to my audience? And that's how you start to fall in line with your community. And even for a bigger brand, for somebody that has a company, take a look at your audience. Do they match your brand identity? Do they match who you want to serve? And if not, it's never too late to realign. You can still have those customers, but you need to start changing your voice. You need to start adding products that really suit who you want to serve. And that's how, in my opinion, that's how you start to scale what you're doing. Because now you actually enjoy being a part of your community. You want to get out and be involved. You want to have the conversations. You want to make the friends because you understand that what you're passionate about, what your why is, your reasoning, how that matches with your audience. Did I answer your question there?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And
Okay.
and that's where not where I'd hope you would go, because I had no idea where you were going to go, because you're the expert here, not me. But what I really liked about what you said is, you kind of got to find the joy and find the thing that makes it easy to, and I'm rephrasing it just the way I heard it, but it makes it easy to get up and want to go out there, because, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon, and you can only motivate yourself and pump yourself up for so long. And the money, especially once it comes, is only going to motivate you for so long. So you have to be able to do what wakes you up and gets you to jump out of bed. And then when you do that, you'll be able to more easily show up every day. And also, it's going to resonate with your audience. It's going to come through in your marketing or your content or your communication or your events or whatever ever you're hosting there. It's like when we were talking about meeting at Funnel Hacking Live and spending the last two of them together. Russell Brunson gets up on stage and I don't even know what he's saying half the time, because he talks twice as fast as I do. But his energy is just enough for me to say, I'm in. His belief transforms my belief, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do a really good way to make people realize what their why is, right? Like by asking those questions, because you got me thinking like so hard that day, and I was just thinking, and I for some reason I didn't know the answer to most of the questions, but it got me thinking. And after our call finished, I told my wife, I was like, this is probably like the best money I ever invested for myself, because you got me thinking so much about what my actual why is. So since you're over here helping people find their why, what was your why, Jim?
First of all, let me say thank you, because that really hit home, because I loved our conversation, and to be able to not just work with you as a client but as a friend too, like that means the world to me to hear you say that. My why, and it's okay. I'll say this to your audience: it's okay to change your why, and I think your why evolves. Originally, when I left corporate job, because I started to go back to the very start, Brian, and you mentioned that my first business was in college. Well, then I left that company to go work for somebody. And I started within 6 months, I wrote a business plan for that family-owned corporate business that was like, hey, you need to start this next business. This is something that people need. This is a service that you could offer that could make you a lot of money. And they still have that division today. When my business partner now, Nathan, one of my best friends at college, came to me and said, I want to start a clothing brand that puts a tattoo on t-shirts. Like, people thought I was crazy. They're like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're making six figures at the age of 27. Like, you're exec level almost. Like, what are you doing? My why was I wanted to find that passion inside to be creative in everything I do and align that with the customer. And I didn't even know the customer at that point. I just knew I had this passion inside. And I knew that no matter what I did, if I could be true to myself and understand that there's creativity, there's building a business, there's the things that there's solving a problem. And those are things that I get up for every single day, no matter what the end all be all is. It's those things. I knew I was going to be okay, and I knew I was going to make it, and I knew I had something. And we did. We took that. It took a long time. When we sold it, we didn't sell it for nearly what I wanted to, but it didn't matter because it was a learning experience, and I was providing value, and I created something bigger than myself. So then when Woodward Movement was created, my why changed. My why was, again, solving those problems, right? But it was more, how can I make a change in what somebody else is trying to do? How can I make a change? If I can take what I know and what I've learned, and I can bring that into a business or somebody, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever it is, and help them to make a change in their business by reaching their audience. Now that's a lot bigger than just myself. Fast forward, creating the podcast and the Remote Start podcast, this next chapter of our Woodward Movement business. It's an evolving thing of like, how do we continue to give back and help? And knowing that what we're doing is making a difference. And like you had said, like, this is money that great money that was invested, because it got you to think about really what you're trying to do. And I promise you, and you know this, but you're going to help way more people because you truly understand who you are. And so now it's not about me. Now it's my why is to do that through others and help others, whether that's an individual or a big corporation. So I hope that answered your question, but it changes as it goes. But it comes down to, I think, I have to be creative every day. I have to try to solve problems, and how can I help others?
Yeah, because every aspect in life is an evolution. You know, when it comes to marketing, like how you say, your why evolved into a different why, and you grabbed that and you made it even more powerful.
Right.
By the way, we got together before the show of this Evolved Marketing podcast, and we said, all right, who can say evolve the most amount of times to stay on brand? No, it's just incredible how we came up with this name, and we didn't know what to call this podcast, but at least 50% of the guests have talked about the evolution of their business, talked about the evolution of their why, the evolution of the marketing. So it turned out to be one of those maybe happy accidents or divine interventions with the naming of this podcast. But when you were just telling us about your why, you mentioned creativity and problem solving a couple of times. And to me, if I were to look at someone who was, completely green or never been an entrepreneur and said, I need to focus on two characteristics or two qualities that are going to help me become the most successful, what would they be? And I would say, well, you need to be creative. You need to have abundant inventiveness with yourself, your message, not your message necessarily, but your content, right? That is going to attract people. And also you need to be a great problem solver, because that's really what it comes down to. I can tell you everything you need to do, but problems are going to come up, and your success will depend on your ability to solve them on your own. But the weird thing is if I were to take it back to like high school or something, problem solving is kind of more like physics and math, and creativity is kind of more like art class and music. And if we know anything about most of our fellow classmates in high school, it's like you were either art and music or you were math and science, right? Like most people aren't good at both. And maybe that's why entrepreneurship is such a tricky road. But first of all, which one is your strength? Are you more of a problem solver naturally or creative naturally? And then how do you focus on improving your weakness?
Those are good questions. So first of all, I'll say my first business coach had me take a test, like one of those self-evaluation tests and whatever else it is. And I remember his response when we sat down is like, this is, dude, like you're different than most people we've done this with. You're both of those things, and most people aren't. And like, I think it was like middle school, I was coined like most creative or most artistic or something like that. When I have an engineering degree from Michigan State. So it's like, both of those things, I know I'm not the best artist. Like, that's fine. But I like to look at everything from a creative lens of how, take it to even a problem solve there, where how can we how can we figure out a way to solve this creatively? How can we find the best, even internally as a team? Like, how do we find the best in a teammate? And it might not even be their position that they're currently in, but how do you listen and learn and be creative with the problems that your business is having to put them in a position where they're happy and they can succeed, and at the same time the business is doing better? And I think that's like that creative. It doesn't have to be artistic, right? Like Ink Addict apparel, it's all based on art, but I didn't design one thing for the brand. What I did was I worked with the artist who and surrounded myself with those artists who I truly, to this day, think are some of the best artists in the world at any medium. And I soaked that in to basically fill that void of art and creativity, but then help them to promote themselves and helped our brand to grow, by focusing in on that creative side. I kind of went on a tangent there, but I think that from the engineering side, what it taught me at Michigan State, and my favorite thing about the engineering mind, is you don't just take an answer. You don't just get something and say, okay, that's the answer. That's how we do this. I dig deeper and I'm like, okay, why? Why did that answer happen? Why is this the problem? And a lot of times going back to, when you're starting out and you're either creative or you're, have that analytical mindset, listen to your customer. That's the number one. Listen to your customer, what they're saying, and either solve creatively or put them through your system that you set up that works. And so what is the problem isn't as poor, what is the solution at first isn't as big of a deal as listening to the problem and understanding, like actually listening. What are your clients saying? What are they doing? How do you solve that?
Yeah. So you had a lot of big companies that you've been working with, right? A lot of like corporations, right? Like I'm guessing one of the ways that you actually help them also is with merchandise, right? Do you have any crazy merchandise, like inventory things that you had to deal with?
On the inventory level?
Like merchandise, yeah.
So when we work with clients on merchandise for them, they buy it. So we don't sit on inventory. And is that what you're asking? Like that we had to get rid of a lot of inventory or any of those things?
Yeah. How does that work?
So we work basically where we set up, hey, this is the merch, this is what we're doing. The client pays for it. They either have a plan to use it for employees, to use it for promotion, or to retail it, to sell it. I can relate to some inventory issues when I owned Ink Addict Apparel, the clothing brand, where the hardest thing about a clothing brand is you have different seasons, and I would be in front of big buyers at a large trade show and be so proud of the collection we put out, and we're already starting to produce for it and do manufacturing overseas and domestic and everything else, and they're like, oh, I don't like this collection. Like, this collection isn't going to sell in my stores. And you're like, what do you mean? Last collection sold great, but no, it's not going to do well. We're going to put in a small test order. It's like, whoa, okay. So it's like that ebb and flow of, oh, you're the hottest thing to it's not going to sell. Like that was hard. And that, that takes a toll on even my business partner who managed the design aspect. Like, he would think he had a great collection coming, and then it was like, nope. Or even the no's might turn into, hey, we really need that now because the test collection really did sell. It's like, okay, so we weren't crazy, but you never really know.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to plan for that. It's hard to test the market. Again, it's kind of like listen to your customers and be creative with it.
Yeah, there's so many things that are changing. Like, like tomorrow something can be popular, but then the next week it might not even be relevant anymore, so.
Right.
That's a perfect example of why in 11 years of entrepreneurship, my physical products business was 6 months of that, and everything else has been digital products and software. It's like, I can only imagine the stress that comes along with creating and placing orders and starting production before you really even know if you had the answer. But obviously, it's an important aspect of really connecting with the customers. It gives something tangible, I think, probably, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It also gives them a way to voice their appreciation, say, hey, I stand by this company, right? It's why some of the great brands, have their logos all over their stuff. And you do a great job with your merch, even though I've never purchased it. And I've just heard your story and your view. Like, you don't want to just slap a logo on a t-shirt and give it to people. You want to give them something that, like, I know I've seen Andrei's logo, and, I think of like the Tiger Woods logo and stuff like that, with his brand, and the TB12 and stuff that all these athletes have now, where it's like, not only is the logo cool, but I mean, the quality of the merch is cool as well. Yeah. I mean, that's a big focus for you, isn't it?
Yeah, the biggest thing to answer that is, like, people get so proud, which is okay, but people get so damn proud. And you have to think about your customer. Again, think about your community. Like, why would they wear something that, let's use an example. You're a plumber, and you want to give your friends your t-shirt to wear. But on the back, you want your website, you want your phone number, you want all of these things on there. Like, why in the heck would I wear a t-shirt, even if you're my best friend, with all those things on the back? So what people have to think about is, what would they wear? What do they want? And like, Andrei, your hat, like, it looks sick. People probably ask you, like, what is that? And you tell them. But if it said your name all over the front of it and your business all over the front of it, no one's going to ask you what it is, because there's no interest there. They're like, that's ugly. But they're so proud of what they're doing. And this isn't just an individual. We see this at a corporate level. They're like, oh, we want our employees to wear our product, and we want our name across the shirt huge. Well, that's cool, but your employee they have a life outside of work. So when they're outside of work, how do you incorporate your brand into what they're doing? And a lot of time that's, it could be a slogan. It could be something that is like, as a team, you understand it. So when they're at the gym, or they're hanging out, they're at the bar, whatever it is, it's something they're comfortable in and proud of. And it just doesn't say the brand name across the front. I love my personal favorite is subtle, like something subtle. Everything needs to be quality. And that's something else too that a lot of brands make the mistake of. I have a $5,000 budget. I want to get this out to as many people as possible. What's the first thing they think of? I want it on a cheap t-shirt, and I want to get this out to everybody. Cool. You know what you just did? You wasted $5,000, because people are going to wear it once, they're going to wash it, and they're going to throw it away, or it's going to sit in their closet. So why not think about, again, your audience, think about your community, think about who is in that community and what they're doing on a daily basis, and come up with a product that really makes sense, that resonates with your values, your brand, and what they're doing. And you're going to have a lot more success that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's almost like you don't want to mix advertising with your brand type of thing in that sense, as far as merchandise, right? Because if you, like how you say, if you put your contact information, the name of everything, and all the people that work for you, or whatever, whatever it is, then people are not gonna be interested about it. People are not gonna feel like they need to ask you anything about it, right?
Right.
So cool, man. You have a podcast that is called Remote Start, correct?
It is.
Is that what can you tell us about it?
So we just hit our 50th episode. It's been a huge passion project of mine. It started with, being in the clothing industry. A lot of people would say, I have this idea for this brand. I want to start a brand. I want to start my own company, leave my job, do all these things. It's like, cool. I want everybody to go start their own thing. But you have to think about it in a way that makes sense to set you up for success. So this is about starting a business. It's about building your brand. So we've talked a lot today about branding. a lot of what I try to talk about is like really understanding your brand and your audience. And I bring people on that are experts in their field that can help in other ways. But a lot of it comes down to, what did they do? What did these entrepreneurs do to set the stage for themselves for success before they left their company, or before they made the decision to start their own? And then the third part of what I really try to hit on in the podcast is, building your community and living the lifestyle that you desire. Again, it goes back to your why, right? And why are we doing the things that we're doing? And what kind of lifestyle do we want to live for ourselves? And being on the road for 2 years, that was a lifestyle I wanted. That was a lifestyle we lived. But now I'm in the growth mindset. Like, my lifestyle is like, I don't need to travel. I don't need to do all these things. It's focus on business. It's focus on growth. It's focus on family and enjoying that aspect of my life. So I try to bring a lot of that into the Remote Start podcast.
Yeah, you talk about the different seasons and where you're going now, and that's pretty incredible. If you're into podcasts, which if you're listening to this podcast right now, hopefully you are into podcasts and you'll continue to listen to ours. But also, definitely go check out the Remote Start podcast. We'll go ahead and link it down in the show notes or the description, depending on where you're watching this video. And I've listened to some episodes, and Jim is great. He's easy to listen to. He's fun to listen to. I really think you'll enjoy the podcast. Well, Jim, I know you have other podcasts to go on to today, and we know your time is limited. So we really do appreciate you sharing some of your insight and experience with us today. It was amazing as always. Always great to talk to you. One last thing that we like to do on this podcast is kind of turn the tables and give you, if you want, the opportunity to ask us a question or two if you have anything for us.
I do. I appreciate the opportunity. And first of all, I just wanted to say to both of you, like, you're great friends. I appreciate everything. Brian, I think it's episode 30 or 31 of my podcast where I give you a huge shout out, and it came from eating dinner together and your comment to me about helping me to understand some of my core strengths and who I am as a person. And I think as individuals, a lot of times we forget about who we are, or we don't understand the impact that we can have. And I love your honesty, your sincerity, and that conversation we had like truly changed my life and my trajectory, and obviously changed the podcast, as my introduction now is focused on that conversation that we had. And so thank you for that. Andrei, thank you for your friendship. You guys are incredible. My biggest question for you, we talk about affiliate marketing, and that's what you guys are just have crushed it in. I want to know, for somebody out there who owns a business, how can I, like, this isn't getting into affiliate marketing. This is, let's look at me as an agency, as someone that I have brands. How can I incorporate affiliate marketing into what I'm doing, into my business? And is there a way to incorporate that, and whether it's partnerships and understanding those as a different light? How can I grow what I'm trying to do through affiliate marketing?
I'm gonna let Brian answer this one.
Yeah. So just to make sure I'm clear, you want to talk about growing your business, not help other people grow their business through setting up their affiliate programs, correct? Probably grow your business first.
Or it's growing, maybe it's growing my business by offering other third-party software or other businesses to my clients, where maybe I'm not hands-on, but it's, hey, I know you need X, Y, and Z. Here's a partner that you can work with, or whatever that might be. What would be some recommendations there, or ways that I could look at that approach?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the cool thing is regardless of which way you wanted to take it, whether it was what you wanted to create an affiliate program so you could grow your business, or you wanted to incorporate almost like a done for you affiliate program for your customers, or both, I think it really comes down to the same thing. Software is a headache. And unless your number one goal is to grow a $100 million software company, stay the heck out of the software business, because it's being done. You can integrate, a multitude of softwares that help with the affiliate side of things. For me, what I can, the expertise that I can offer you is to really help you understand what affiliates want, because not only am I an 11-year affiliate marketer, I also have courses that teach affiliate marketers. So my customer avatar is people who want to get into affiliate marketing. So the one thing I can tell you is, just to say, hey, I'll give you 20% of the retainer or the sale or the first merch order, or whatever makes sense for your business, doesn't really matter. Even if that number's huge, right? Like, let's say your typical merch order is $10,000, for example, and I have no idea what it is. So if you were to offer, an affiliate 20% of that, that's $2,000. I mean, that's a good chunk of change for one sale, especially for someone who's, an affiliate marketer doing stuff on the side. But that's not really good enough, to be quite honest with you. There are more affiliate programs than qualified affiliates. And, a great qualified affiliate can come in and just crush your business for you, help you crush it. But how are you going to attract them? It's going to be really difficult. Typically, they have their own systems in place, and they're kind of in their own little niche, and they're not really looking to expand out. So to answer your question, if you were to create an affiliate program, you really have to show people not what they can make, but how can they make it. You have to give them the tools to market. And that could be as simple as a training program. The affiliate offer has to be good. 3% of whatever is generally not good enough. It has to be good, but you really have to show them, like, hey, here's how you can make money promoting my business. And maybe that's something that is demographic specific. So maybe you look at Instagram influencers, for example, who have millions of followers, and they don't really know how to monetize. Sure, they get brand deals. Sure, they have their 10% discount in their bio for their pre-workout or whatever they're promoting. But for the most part, they don't really know how to monetize the fact that they have 1 million followers on Instagram. If I had 1 million followers on Instagram, I'd be making $10 million a year. You know what I mean? Because I know how to monetize. Yeah. They are not. So what do? You put together a specific package, a specific training program, a specific webinar even. It doesn't have to be long. That shows them, here, do A, B, C, and D, and then make this link available. You got to teach them how to attract the right customers, because otherwise they'll just post something general and you got 1 million people who don't have any interest in starting a business clicking your link. How do you find the exact demographic? What do you need to say? What's going to happen? Where are they going to go? And then how are you going to get paid? And if you can just kind of create that, like I said, it can be a 60 or a 30-minute webinar that just says, here's all the things, here's how you sign up, here's the 6 posts that you need to create in a row with your link. If you can do all that, then it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? Yeah. All the work's got to be done on the front end for you. So people there's no questions. It's like, I can make those 6 things and tell them exactly what to do. Don't leave it to chance. Don't let them figure it out. Tell them exactly what you need to do. And that comes through testing. And then, you got yourself a real opportunity there, Jim.
Awesome. That's a great point. And I love the way that you put it. Like, I'm already thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, I think I could do this. I think I can set something up.
Another way, also maybe reaching out to your actual clients that you have, because, for example, for me, I'm already in your system, right? Like, you're gonna see my name somewhere in your system. Maybe reach out to those people, see, hey, did you love working with us? Because I did. Maybe you could recommend this to other people and then get some type of percentage or any type of deal that you want to come up with, right? So that way, other people will also be interested in the service as well, And like I say, I love your service, so I can tell people how, okay, this person actually did this for me, and it actually helped me achieve what I wanted to achieve. Now, by me recommending somebody else, I'm doing you the favor, and of course, I might get a portion of it, because at the end of the day, I am an affiliate marketer, right? So I also want to get a percentage. But since you are offering your service, I wouldn't mind if that percentage is really low, because you're going to be putting in the time. You get me? Like, you're going to be doing the work, right? So if it's even a slow percentage, I wouldn't care. I'll be like, yeah, and anything extra is cool, So I will recommend services that way, 100%.
I love both your approaches, because Andrei, yours is more like, I feel like something I could start right away. Like, it's something that, like, this is simple. It's just going and saying, hey, we had a great experience together. Here's what I'm going to offer. Like, do your magic, do what you're good at, and just let people know I'm here.
Yep.
And Brian, I love what you're saying, because it's like, you could take this and actually scale your business with this by setting something up and putting in the time up front to make it very easy for the affiliates to follow, which then help me to grow even more. So I really love the two-headed approach there, and that's great advice. Thank you both.
Yeah, and I think just to finalize the thought on that is, if you nailed it. I mean, Andres can be implemented tomorrow. And I think what's really cool about that is, percentages are a bit obscure. Sometimes just a flat rate can actually be cheaper for you as a business, because people might not realize, like, the average lifetime value of a customer for you might be $20,000. But you could say, hey, you refer me a customer, and if they make a deal, I'll give you $500. That's going to be like, hell yeah, I'll take free $500. You know what I mean? Who wouldn't? And the other side is, when people start their affiliate programs, they tend to be like, how do I attract affiliates? And like I've already told you, there's more affiliate programs than qualified affiliates. You got to teach non-affiliates how they can make money with your program. And that, I think, is where the real opportunity is. Yes. Is it harder? Yeah, absolutely. I'd rather have the best affiliate in the world come promote my stuff, but guess what? So would everybody else. So I think there's a real opportunity in helping non-affiliates promote your business. Well, Jim, I know you got things to do. It's up to you. If you want to ask anything else, feel free. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I think it was a fantastic episode. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. And if I'll leave it with this to your audience, anybody looking for merchandise, anybody looking to, talk about branding, I'm available. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, reach out to me, woodwardmovement.com. Check out our website. There's a contact form in there, or like I said, just LinkedIn, Jim Doyon, and I would be happy to set up a quick meeting and learn more about you and listen to the podcast. There's a lot of advice on there, and I'm glad to help any way I can.
Well, thank you so much, Jim, and I better see you at Funnel Hacking Live this year.
Oh, I'll be there. I hope to see both of you before that, to be honest. Let's set something up.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll make it happen.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode of Evolved Marketing Podcast.
Bye, everybody.